I'm going to begin sharing my thought with uh, a very strange scripture that has shaped, uh, largely, it has shaped how I interact with the social media. I have my Bible here with me. I'll just open and read to you. Revelations 18. Revelations 18. I'll read. Actually, if you want to get the full story, you can read the whole chapter, but I'll read from verse 11 down to 13. All right. Um, Maybe we'll read down to 17. Right. So let's go. Revelation chapter 18, verse 11. Um, Scripture says, "And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth her merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls, and of fine linen, and of purple, and silk, and scarlet, and all fine wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and souls of men." That's where I'm going to. Souls of men. Let's go on. Verse 14. "And the fruits that the soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off and fear for her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with fine gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stand afar off." Anyway, the point I'm trying to draw from this scripture, by the way, I read the King James Version, is that there are merchants on the earth, this very earth where we live, that deal with a lot of goods and services. And the list here uh, is quite sketchy. But then we find some key uh, products that these men sell, buy and sell. And there are scarlet and silk and purple and pine wood and precious stones, gold and silver and wine. In that list, we find one very strange item. That's the souls of men. All right? The souls of men. So men sell the souls of men, or merchants sell the souls of men. Yes. By this scripture, we understand that there are merchants. Are they humans? Are they non-humans? Are they men themselves? Are they spirits? What are they? Well, let's see if we can discuss more about that. So that this group of merchants are specialized in the merchandise of the souls of men. So what is a soul? I'm going to just define a soul in a very simple sentence. I would say your soul, my soul, everyone's soul is the seat SEAT, seat of their consciousness. The seat of your consciousness is your soul. Your your entirety stems out of your soul. Your entire conscious life stems out of your soul. Your soul um is the engine room. It's like the nucleus that runs your entire operating system. It's like the processing um unit. It's like the the core of your very essence, right? So if you are happy, joyful, sad, depressed, excited, eager, anxious, fearful, confident, should make merry, whatever state that we find you in, there is a direct transmission of the energy that you manifest in any of those emotions as direct transmission of energy from your soul to the very outside that you manifest what you manifest. That is my personal observation and belief. All right. So if this is true, then there are men who whose merchandise is trading the consciousness of men, trading the states of men's mind. They buy and sell people's state of mind. You can call it a mind game. They play games with people's minds. They manipulate people's mind. They have a way to control people's minds. Right? Now this is not some form of voodoo or magic, even though that is totally possible. I believe that there are supernatural abilities, supernatural um, essence or powers that can and in fact do manipulate men. I also believe there is a very, very beautiful science behind it. And let me digress a little bit. This digression will help you understand what I have just said about the ability of for the men to manipulate men who are not very um, very sound in their mind, right? So I look at the world particularly as I look at it with the eyes or the lens of energy. Okay, everything around me, everything about me is a manifestation of energy. Okay, um, when we have people around us who don't, in quote, vibe with us, who don't agree with us, who don't give us that, we call it positive vibe, right? We often say that they're giving negative energy. Why do we say that? Everything we do is energy. Everything we are is energy. Okay? Um, Energy is, as science has defined, the ability to do work. So anything that is work is possible because of the existence of a form of energy. Now, we've been told that energy exists in different forms: chemical energy, kinetic energy, potential energy, um, all kinds of energy, right? But then that list that the scientists have given us is far from the reality. There's so many more forms of energy. Your joy, for instance, is a product of an energy coming from your soul. Your anger is a product of your energy coming from your soul. So in science also we understand in physics that energy can be very dangerous. And so nature has made it so that you you don't get to have a whole chunk of energy hitting you at once that could kill you. Whether it's light energy, sound energy, chemical energy. If it hits, the ball of energy hits you at once, it could destroy you entirely, or an aspect of your life that it hits. And so energy is often emitted or released in quanta. Quanta. So quanta is plural for quantum, right? So it's singular for quantum. Is that no? Quanta is plural. Quantum is singular. So you have energies released in chunks, not in the whole thing, in chunks like units, like pulse, 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 like that. So because it is like that, we also look at another area of that energy transmission. And that area is frequency. How frequent does energy come? What is the intensity of the energy? What is the amplitude? What are the other, units around it we can use to understand the behavior of that kind of energy? So you have frequency. So now, for instance, if you consider sound waves, there are sound waves that sound energy that is transmitted, that your ear, physical human ear, will not hear it. I did an experiment a few weeks ago, checking the amount of decibels and frequencies that I can hear some kind of sound. And I think I got to as high as 20 or 21,000 decibels. And then I could no longer hear. It moved from a very high pitch, high, to the point where it's too high. My ears could not pick it. So I was hearing like a like that. So even though the um, visual, the audio meter that displays the graph shows that sound is actually being transmitted, but my ears could not hear it. I just did that out of curiosity and to also prove to myself that yes, there is a kind of energy in sound that my ears cannot hear. But it doesn't mean it's not there. And it doesn't mean it doesn't have an effect on me. It does, because energy has the ability to make things happen. If that is true, and it is true, right? Because if you do not eat, you don't have chemical energy that will translate to your kinetic, your motion, your talking, your generation of other forms of activity. So yeah, that is true. Without energy, we lose ability to even sustain our existence, right? So if energy can be picked because of the frequency of it, then like the soul being the seat of our consciousness that emits energy to every other aspect of our lives, whether we are deciding on this or deciding on that, whether we are willing to do or willing not to do, whether we are happy or sad, whatever it is that culminates our very essence is transmitted from our soul via these energies. All right. So if these men who are merchants have understood that energy transmission can play around with people's emotion, play around with people's mindset, because if they can find a way to your soul and trigger a kind of energy, they will get in response the energy that would control your life. I once studied about the bats, the fruit bats that fly at night. I understood that they are not just flying at night for no reason. And I also understood that they are not really they don't see the way humans see. In fact, for humans, if you compare their sight to that of a human, you would say they are blind, right? Blind bats. But they have a mechanism of vision that is able to use waves, sound waves, to see. Imagine that. They use sound waves to see. How do they do that? So I've forgotten the name of that. I don't have all of the terms in my head right now. But then these bats transmit from their sonoric device, let me call that, right? They transmit a very high pitched sound. The ears of men would not capture it. So it hits the air around them, the environment around them. Then they use the feedback from the rebounds, the reflection or deflection of that energy to them to understand their proximity to objects. And so even though they're flying at night, flying amidst obstacles, buildings, trees, tree branches, they do not slam themselves on those obstacles because the feedback they get from the energy they transmit, the sound energy in that specific frequency they transmit, hits them back and they have like a measure of, okay, this is how far I am from this object. This is the edge of the object that is closest to me to maneuver and, um, dodge the object without, slamming myself into it. And they also put into consideration their speed, every other thing around them. It's just so beautiful to study. Right. I think I'm gonna have to go back to that and look at it. So that is for the animals. This happens also for cats, for dogs, for different animals. They have this sense of how things danger is about to come. Uh, they're not as developed as we feel we are, but then they have powerful survival mechanisms, things that humans would be aloof to and just run right straight into the danger. These animals have found a way to effectively escape them. You understand? It is because of how they can manipulate and play around with energy. Okay? So these men we're talking about, these merchants, have understood to some extent how to manipulate energy around people to send a feedback, send a signal to the souls of men to the end that they capture it, to the end that they capture the essence of a man's soul, right? So how do they do that? How do they do that? Let me bring some use cases. I won't really go into deep in the in depth of the science. Um, but I will give some use cases. I did videos, right? I did videos, and I understand that people have very low attention span. They have low retention span, right? You can't hold them for too long on a particular thing. They say it's bored, they move away, they look away, they begin to wander around in their thoughts so quickly. You can lose them. If you look at YouTube's adverts in videos, often they give a countdown, 5 seconds when this video starts, and that 5 seconds is like the threshold of the human used to be. It's no longer that long of the average human attention span. So if you as the advertiser in that video is not able to capture the attention in 5 seconds, they now have a chance to say, hey, I'm not interested in this. They click away. So it's 5 seconds, but now it's way lesser. And that's why as a video editor, we fun load different changes, different exciting moves, sudden moves, changing colors, bright colors, lower colors, zoom in, zoom out, rotations, transitions, just to keep the attention of these people. What are we doing? We are manipulating light and sound, light and sound, light and sound, light and sound to be able to access the consciousness of the viewer, to keep them touched, to keep them focused on what we want to say, on what we want, the message we want to carry out. This is just a use case for how energy is manipulated to keep people hooked, right? Another use case is when they bring words, topics, objects, images that appeal to people. For instance, if you want to grab the attention of a hungry man, what do? You display beautifully decorated food that looks delicious, that looks amazing. that man would look, wow, this food is beautiful. If you want to appeal to someone who is in love with fashion, you bring in some crazy, out of the world designs and just make them so sensual. They appeal to his senses. You've hooked the person's soul. While he's amazed at the first, you put up another one. While he's wow, you put up another one. While he's what? Before you know it, you've grabbed that soul, right? So first thing these merchants do, they understand what energy does. They understand what it is or what it means to manipulate energy to be able to hook in or draw in or bait a soul of a person. And when they do have your soul, they have you coming back again and again, this time by yourself, this time willingly. They have your soul and they sell that soul. First, you give your soul to them unconsciously. You give your soul to them subconsciously. Sometimes you give your soul to them intentionally. And then they have it and then they sell it. How do they sell it? It's not some sort of witchcraft, manipulation, or spiritual thing. No, they simply begin to now feed you with what they want you to feed on. They have you, so they give you whatever they want you to eat. Talking about your soul now. So they begin to uh, bid, people begin to bid matters, other matters begin to bid for souls. Okay, we want men who are interested in this, we want population, we want the population interested in that, and then they begin to bid, and the highest bidder gets it. So they begin to sell you advertisements, for instance. They begin to sell you opportunities, for instance. They begin to sell you ideologies. They begin to sell you philosophies. They begin to sell you propaganda. They begin to sell you things that they want you to just take, right? The people who grabbed your soul in the first place, the merchants, and have taken money, value, or something in exchange for your attention that they have, and they give it to another, maybe company, maybe individual that wants to sell his or her idea or product or service, right? This is deep. This is deep. What's it called now? People even look at me when I talk about this things and say this is conspiracy theory. I don't care. It's my observation and I believe it to be true until I get a better knowledge, information, or a deeper understanding. I will hold this dearly and truly. All right. So this is a product of years and years of iteration of technology, years and years of studies of the human behavior. There are things you think you're doing, but you're not the one doing it. Someone is actually manipulating you to do it because they know when you are awake. They've studied you so well. They know when your soul is down, they know when you're happy, they know when you're sad. Have you ever tried some of these games on, for instance, Facebook or some of these websites that just have a way of predicting your personality? They've studied human souls. They have a lot of data about people's micro behaviors you don't know you have. The way you click, how long it takes you to move from this page to that page, how long it takes you to scroll within this section of the web page. You understand every single detail about your behavior when you're using these devices, these tools that interface between you and the technology, right? And then by the virtue of the strength of their knowledge of you, they have some level of grasp over devices. Now, am I saying that we shouldn't use technology? No. Am I saying that we should throw it away? No. I'm saying that we should have this information so that we are informed when we put ourselves out there, when we use this tool, when we use these devices, we must be intentional. That's the word. We must be intentional. It must come from a seat of awareness in your mind, in your soul that, hey, I own my soul. My soul, it's me, and I've given it to God. It came from God and it belongs to Him, right? If you're a Christian. And then Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything technology of today will and should not have control. The algorithm should not have control. Some people are in a loop of the zombie scroll. They just keep scrolling and laughing, scroll and laugh, scroll and laugh, scroll and laugh. Get to the comment section, say something funny, and hear someone do this. You're a slave. Be strategic as well as intentional. Where do you eat from? What builds your person? On what are you growing your philosophies? What is the basis of your understanding of how life works? What is the basic of your understanding of how money works, of how marriage works, of how businesses should operate? Are you being sold junk? Are you being sold substandard? Are you being sold useless information? We are, they say, in the information age, but what kind of information are we actually seeing every day? I think we have a rather messy internet, and it takes a very strategic and intentional person to navigate through and understand exactly where he or she should drink from. Some are drinking from the gutters, some are drinking from, the sewers, they're drinking from the toilets, they're drinking nonsense. And it smells when they speak, it smells when they make a post, it smells when they make a decision, and the result you see, it's rotten, it's terrible. It's terrible. It breaks marriages. It's terrible. It puts children into addictions. It's terrible. It makes social vices normal. Normal. A young girl would just wake up and say she wants to just appear naked on social media, and there are people who are celebrating her. In fact, some of these companies would pay her and call her an influencer, right? On TikTok, on Snapchat, and all of those things, right? So I'm advocating for a people who understand that your souls are the seats of your consciousness, and there is a possibility that if you're not intentional about what you do on social media, you are definitely going to have your soul trapped if it has not been trapped yet. Right? And then for as long as you live, you'll be doing the bidding of these merchants. They'll sell you to whomever they want to sell you, buy you back for a price, sell you again, all of that. This is not how it ought to be. You ought to be in charge. You ought to be in control. You ought to have a level of, will when it comes to this. You have to say, okay, hey, I'm not doing this today. I'm not doing this now. There's a time for this. But most times you just find people just pick up their smartphones, and for 2 hours, there's nothing productive. There's nothing graceful. There's nothing really that they're doing but deepening themselves into the dungeon, into this loop. First thing first, check your social media. How long you spend on it. What kind of content do you have in it? Do you have a blueprint for what you do on social media? Are you just there to make posts? If you're drinking tea, you post. If you're eating bread, you post. If you're going to the toilet, you post. If you travel to America, you post. What has that got to do with helping others understand? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. But why are you doing it? Ask yourself, why am I really posting that? What is the essence? Who does it help? Okay, it shows people that I've arrived. Those people you're trying to show you've arrived don't really care about you. They don't care if you've arrived or you're still on the journey. Right? Don't expose yourself to unnecessary danger, by the way, by doing that. So be strategic. Then, who do you follow? When you open your timeline, who has permission to put things in your face? There are very few persons that I follow on social media, very, very few, and I have vetted, to the best of my knowledge, their activities on social media happens to help me grow and become better. Okay? The information I get from them helps me to better my lot in life, and so I follow. So when I open my Facebook, for instance, or my Twitter, or my whatever it is, there is a number of persons. They're not the only great guys around, but they're the people that I've found to be valuable to me. And then I follow them. And then whenever they make a post, I read through and I am blessed by the post. And then the people who follow me, I encourage you to do not follow me if the content that I put out is not something that would add value to you. Please unfollow. Do not subscribe to my channels. Do not like it. Do not engage it. Run away from it if it doesn't help your soul. Don't let it be a bait that these merchants are using to enslave you so they can sell adverts so they can sell your soul to you. All right? It's deeper than I'm actually, there's a point I can get to and I would lose you, right? But let me ask you this as I round up. How much did you pay last to be able to use your Facebook or Twitter or Instagram? Most of these services, all of these services, absolutely free for everyone, except for those who really want some premium features, like a verified Facebook account, like just not generally verified, or an ad-free YouTube account. You understand? So, but all of them are free. So how is it that it is a free product or service, but the owners of these technologies are the wealthiest? The soul of a man is the most expensive asset in the world. Jesus himself said, "What shall it profit you to lose your soul and gain the whole?" So everything in this world, CBN in Nigeria, the World Bank, everything in Switzerland, everything in France, everything in Europe, everything in Italy, everything everywhere cannot compare to your own soul. Meaning there's no price that can be placed on it. But these men are selling it. They are exchanging it for value. That is why they are the richest. That is why they are billionaires in dollars. Right? So there is a way you can use this whole thing I'm saying to your advantage. But first, you have to get out from being the victim, get out from being the pawn in the chessboard, get out from being the foot soldiers, the stooges, right? Of these men, the puppets. Come out from there, come to the place of understanding, and then you can sit amongst the people who decide what happens. Then begin to make informed decisions and take out your own lot from this $1 billion industry of tech. There are so many lies, so many junk, so many atrocities going on, and it's difficult to even filter out those things that are right and wrong because it's so mingled, so intertwined, right? But then if you're a strategic person, if you're intentional, it will take you some time, but it will come out. All right. So one thing I do phone is I limit my social media time. I limit my access to certain kinds of content. When I see the one that I'm not supposed to see, I react negatively to it, teaching the algorithm, I don't want this. I do not want this one. Next time, don't show me this. Right? Yes. So I do that a lot and it helps. Okay. So if you found this useful, let me know what you think. And maybe you could share with me how social media technology today has shaped your life for good or for bad. There is a lot of good things to it. And maybe one day, soon I'll have time to share all of that. It has affected me so massively. But then I need to put out this word because today's young generation, God help us. Right? So thank you very much, guys. And I'll see you again.